For more than 30 years, children with disabilities have been integrated into the education mainstream as specialist schools have closed their doors. It mirrors a change in community attitudes, but it hasn't always been embraced by parents of disabled children. Even with one-on-one help in the classroom and visiting specialist teachers, some parents say mainstream schools aren't meeting their children's needs and can leave them socially isolated. In Victoria, a number of parents devastated by the closure of the state's only school for the blind say the pendulum on integration has swung too far and ideology is denying them the right to choose. Lisa Whitehead reports.
Francesca Lachman is totally blind and has a passion for music. She can't read sheet music, so has learned to play by ear. Her parents can't find a piano teacher who can meet her special needs, but they say it's not just music lessons she's missing out on.
She really, really needs intense physical education and swimming and music and sensory integration, and all of that is being denied her now.
M-A-D-D-Y, Maddie Sandwich.
Francesca Lachman, who's 8, is in grade 2 at her local government primary school. Her parents say despite the school's best intentions, she doesn't have the skills to cope in a classroom where she is the only blind student.
We want Francesca to go into the mainstream, but we want her to go with an ability to succeed.
How many B's have you got there?
2.
Francesca Lachman was a student at Victoria's only school for the blind and vision impaired until it closed last year.
With the closure of the school, it has reduced choices.
Enrolments at the Vision Australia school had dwindled as students moved to mainstream schools. But Alan Lachman says many students are drowning in mainstream classrooms without adequate support and no one's listening.
And I think ideology has driven a lot of this. We are so removed from ideology. We simply want to have a choice.
The Lachmans claim their daughter is falling behind in literacy because she isn't being immersed in Braille at school.
Her sighted friends would be doing these things in prep.
Janell Bevan has sent her son Jacob, who's blind and autistic, to a school for children with multiple disabilities. But she says it isn't tailored to meet his needs as a blind student either.
Jacob needs to feel those words, to see those words in his own way every day like the rest of us do. And at the moment he doesn't have that opportunity.
Space. The push for integration has seen the closure of blind schools across the country. Only the South Australian government has gone against the trend, funding an academic school for students who are purely vision impaired. They can choose to go to this specialist school in Adelaide or a mainstream school or attend both part-time. Robyn, Gaile, head of Blind Citizens Australia, says this hybrid model is the best option.
Mainstream education does prepare you for the world of work and for the adult world. However, give your child opportunities to tap into specialist resourcing. So it might be that you twice per term, a couple of times per term, the child spends a week or an intense period in a specialist resource setting. And we're very clear that there needs to be choice made available to parents and to children.
But discrimination lawyer Darren Fittler argues it isn't a choice for children who live long distances from specialist centres, and he doesn't believe they prepare children for a sighted world.
Once you go to a blind-specific school, and are you then going to be off to a blind-specific university, if you choose to go there, and then go into a blindness-specific job and live in a blindness-specific world? The answer is no.
I will help you.
Okay.
These parents have a different vision. Using the South Australian school as a model, they've spent almost $500,000 in donations to start construction on an independent school called Insight in Melbourne's East. They say they have 25 students ready to enrol next year.
Have you tipped much of your own personal savings into this?
Everything. Everything that we've had. Everything apart from the house that we live in.
But after 6 months, the funds have dried up and work has ground to a halt.
And the weather's going to make it deteriorate.
Shadow Federal Minister Greg Hunt has been lobbying on Insight's behalf for the $2 million needed to finish the project.
I know from working with the parents that they have spent literally hundreds of hours, and what has been most disappointing is the brick wall at state level, the brick wall from the federal government.
Both the Victorian and federal governments declined our requests for interviews, but pointed out that once the Insight School is registered, it can apply for federal funding as an independent school. But the Insight parents argue they can't get that registration until the building work is finished, and they need a one-off grant now to get the job done.
Everyone else is spending, buckets of money on, improvements on their schools, and we can't even get ours finished.
The federal government has only agreed to meet with Insight to explore funding options. But Darren Fittler opposes any money being spent on a specialist school, saying it should be used to support children in the mainstream.
There should be no reason why a person who's blind can't learn and succeed equally with others in the same classroom as their peers.
Every disability needs a centre of excellence, a heart, where you create that expertise, where the teachers, if they're not trained there, at least work there, where the children who need a full-time or part-time environment there can have it. An environment that has but one aim, and that is to get the children to join the mainstream. That's all we want.
Lisa Whitehead with that report, and that's the program for tonight.